You're one of the greatest con men of all time. You're the daddy of them all. What does it take to be a good con man?
Imagine living a life filled with lies and deceit, creating a whole alter ego to get away with crimes or to protect your true identity. Well, the peoples on today's list have done that and more. From a fire chief who turned out to be a huge arsonist to a con man that had 8 different identities. Let's talk about these cases and more only in today's video. Top 10 strange people that led a double life. Starting off this countdown, we have Anna Chapman. Okay, this story always shocked me. So Anna Chapman tricked people into thinking that she was a high-flying socialite. She had people convinced that she owned her own successful real estate business, but it was all a lie. In reality, she was a Russian spy. And that rhymed. She was sent to America from Russia to get insider info, but she was arrested in June of 2010 after a Russian government official tipped off the US. In July, her and the other Russian spies were all sent back to Russia. But Anna kept her identity. Anna might not even be her real name, but now she hosts her own television show and she's a model. Moving on to number 9, we have the con man. And here's your little reminder to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out. So this next individual shared the time he found out that his roommate had a double life as a con man. So when this guy was younger, he shared a house with a bunch of people. His close friend, his brother, and just some other random people he didn't really know. He compared it to living in a frat house, except they weren't part of a college or university. In the end, sharing it with that many people just made it more feasible. One of the guys that lived in their house worked as a port in customs, or so he said. He had a uniform, ID, and everything. Then a year later, he kept buying discounted TVs and merchandise. He claimed he got it from work because it was part of unclaimed packages. Then one day the roommate just left after he scammed a different roommate. Turns out he was just a big con man. He never worked at the port and he was going by a fake name and identity. To this day, they don't know who he truly is and how he made his money. Like, just imagine living with a stranger for years. That is so creepy. Moving on to number 8, we have Frank Abagnale Jr. This dude is crazy. He was a massive con artist and forger. In fact, his story was so big that it was adapted into the movie Catch Me If You Can, where Leonardo DiCaprio starred as Frank. So Frank managed to scam millions of dollars from banks through check fraud across 26 countries. He did this all within 5 years. He started doing it at only 16 years old. While traveling the world, Frank would take on fake identities. He successfully managed to convince people that he was a pilot, doctor, and lawyer. In total, he had about 8 different identities, and FBI had the hardest time tracking him down. In fact, he managed to escape from police custody twice. Now, he was eventually caught, but he kinda got off easy. He served fewer than 5 years in prison, and then he started working for the government. He is currently a consultant and lecturer for the FBI Academy and field offices, and runs his own financial fraud consultancy company. But this dude literally had multiple identities, and people believed each and every one. In our 7th spot, we have Gary Thompson. Gary Thompson made his living from panhandling. It would make him over $100,000 a year. He would go around begging for money in a wheelchair while slurring his speech. People often felt sorry for him and would give him money. Here's the thing, it was all an act. Now, Gary was once in a car accident several years ago, and he did get hurt, but he recovered, hence why he had access to a wheelchair. He also received over $2 million for the accident. So why is he out panhandling? Well, he blew it all. He liked having money, but he also liked doing nothing, so he decided to become a beggar. To him, it's easy money, and at the same time, he can receive sympathy. Imagine having $2 million and just like, pfft, so stupid. Coming in at number 6, we have the student teacher. This story was shared by Reddit user Magana. According to her, she had a student teacher in her high school biology class. She was very sweet and soft-spoken. Then one day, she just stopped showing up to class. People were wondering what became of her. And that's when the rumors started. People were talking about her being arrested for making and selling drugs, which was super out of character for this sweet, innocent student teacher. But a week later, the local news released a story about the student teacher being arrested. So during the day, she was a nice, friendly student teacher at a high school. At night, she was cooking and selling illegal drugs. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was an American serial killer who was given the name the Killer Clown. Why is that? Well, during the day, he would dress up as Pogo the Clown for neighborhood events or children's parties. People knew him as the Clown Guy. Little did they know, he had a very dark side. See, this is one of the many reasons why clowns terrify me. Over the years, Gacy took the lives of 33 individuals. They were found buried all around his house. Thankfully, he was caught in 1978, but still his run lasted way too long. In our 4th spot, we have Wild Brian. During the day, this next individual was a gas technician, but at night he would pretend to be homeless and go by the name Wild Brian. So during the day, as a gas technician, he would work on, install, and fix furnaces. Seems like a pretty ordinary dude, right? With lots of field experience. But get this, at night he would roam the streets and pretend to be homeless. I don't know why he would do this because he had a home. But he would go out and try to gain sympathy from people. When people would ignore him, he would chase them down the street and throw his boots at them. But wait, he gets crazier. You can often find him hanging out at parks, just creepily swinging on the swings, or rocking on the seesaw up and down by himself. He was caught when one of his clients saw him sitting at a corner panhandling. So yeah, this dude literally had a crazed alter ego of a homeless man. Moving on to number 3, we have Jane Toppan. Jane Toppan was a medical nurse, but you wouldn't want to ever be under her care. Why? Well, she was also a serial killer. She was fascinated with death. She would pose as a sweet and caring nurse, but in reality, she would experiment and kill her patients. One time, she gave her patients different drugs to see what the drugs would do to them. She also had a tendency to push her patients right to the edge of death and then bring them back to life and then back to death. In 1885, she was banned from nursing school after 2 of her patients mysteriously died while in her care. Also, they learned that she had an unhealthy obsession with autopsies. But that didn't stop her. She ended up forging her nursing certificates and began her own private home care. Jane was arrested in 1901 and admitted to taking the lives of 31 individuals. In our 2nd spot, we have Jonathan Wild. Okay, this dude is literally wild, okay? So he ran a successful group of thieves, while at the same time he was a public figure who would be like, oh god, I hate thieves. He literally made the public believe that he was a crime fighter set out to stop the thieves. He was even named the Thief Taker General. He had everyone fooled. So his group of thieves would steal goods, and then Jonathan would say that he found the stolen items, and then he would collect the reward. In some cases, he would often blackmail others for money. So not only would he be a hero for returning the stolen items, but he also would get a lot of money while doing so. He successfully pulled this off for 7 years before finally getting caught. But damn, this dude deserved an Oscar for his performance. He had everyone fooled. And in our number 1 spot, we have John Leonard Orr. John Leonard Orr worked as a firefighter for the Glendale Fire Department in Southern California. In fact, he was so good at what he did that he eventually got promoted to fire captain and then arson investigator. But what others didn't know is that he was a pyromaniac, an arsonist. He took his knowledge of being an arson investigator to prevent police and firemen from ever catching him. Since he knew what they were searching for, he could cover his tracks perfectly. Also, there were times where he would be investigating his own crimes, so he would get away with them. In the end, it was found that he started over 2,000 fires, causing millions of dollars in damages. In 1984, he started a fire at an improvement store. Sadly, 4 people lost their lives in this incident. The fire department deemed it was an electrical fire, but he was adamant it was arson. That's because he's the one that started the fire and he felt guilty. So this raised some eyebrows. Then he even wrote a novel titled Points of Origin, and it was about a fireman. It was also an arsonist. Again, it's like he wanted to be caught. Now, he was caught in 1987 when he left behind a fingerprint in a store he attempted to burn down. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. That was a pretty crazy list, not gonna lie. The last one had me shocked. Alright, let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Mysterious Artifacts That Likely Came From Space. Thunder Kitten with the Smoke commented, shout out to the aliens at Area 51. I hope you life forms are doing okay. Well, if they see this, I hope you guys are doing okay there. Are they giving you food? Is there COVID there? They're probably fine. Anyway, JRick420 commented, I heard if you play those discs backwards, you can hear John Lennon saying, Paul is dead. Okay, I heard about that too, but like, if those discs were from space and aliens, how do they know about John Lennon and the Beatles? Actually, they're aliens, so that explains it. But still, it's weird. Thandy Matthews commented, early, I wish I can get a shout out. Love you, Lindsay. Well, you know what? Here's your shout out. There you go. That's what you get for being early. Turn on your post notifications, guys. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm showing out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya. In our fourth spot, we have, this story's really funny. But at night, he would pretend to be homeless. But at night, he would pretend to be homeless and go, I can't, okay. This story is actually hilarious. Okay. Chris, if you laugh, I'm gonna laugh, so don't. Okay. But at night, he would, don't do it. So during the day, as a gas technician, he would work on Chris. He's making faces. Get him fired. He was caught when one of, no, right? Can you just, He started a fire at an improvement store. Improvement? Home improvement? Howdy, neighbor. Okay,